The 1.2 update for Zenless Zone Zero is finally here, and if you're looking to pull for Caesar King, here's everything you need to know. Caesar's a physical defense character on the Sons of Caledon faction, with her stats having a focus on impact. If you're looking to level her up, here's all the materials you're going to need. Now, her strengths include providing a strong shield to allies that can also buff the party's attack, great stun capability thanks to her high impact stat, her basic attack Dead End is great for crowd control, pulling in smaller enemies, and only needs a squad member that can defense assist to activate her additional ability, and she's pretty versatile and can be put on most teams. For your skill priority upgrades, obviously her core skill is a big one considering that is where the passive is going to come from. After that, your X special and then your assist are going to be your best bet since you'll be using both of those pretty often. After that, I focus on your basic attack, then your chain attack, and then lastly, dodge. Here are all the materials you're going to need to upgrade her skills on top of her core skills. Now, like I mentioned, the reason you want to focus on your core skills is because of the Barrier of Resilience passive. Essentially, when you launch any of the attacks listed, she's going to buff all squad members with a Radiant Aegis shield equal to a percentage of her impact plus a flat amount. And obviously, when you start upgrading the core skill enhancements, the last one gives some pretty big bonuses. The shield's going to last for 60 seconds and is equipped to your current on-field character, so if you switch between your characters, it can actually be shared among all of them, which is pretty cool. And while the Aegis is active, number 1, the shield bearer's anti-interrupt level is increased, and the bearer's attack is increased by a flat amount, and then after it expires, the buff will remain there for 5 seconds. Then obviously, when you upgrade the skills all the way, it gives you a pretty significant attack increase. Now, her additional ability on her core skill, which is Battle Spirit, essentially as long as you have a character that can perform a defense assist or same to same faction, whenever she activates a perfect block, retaliation, defense assist, or her basic attack Dead End, she'll apply a debuff effect to the enemies within a 7-meter radius, increasing the damage they take from all squad members by 25% for 30 seconds. So basically, as long as you have a character that matches this description, you can apply a debuff to characters that are on the field, which is insane. Having this debuff is pretty much free considering her kit revolves around a lot of these skills and attacks that are mentioned. For her special attack and X special attack, obviously this is important because this is how you're going to easily trigger her core passive to get the Aegis shield. But the skill in and of itself is pretty cool. Essentially, when you use the special or the X special, you'll strike forward with the shield. Obviously, the X special is going to deal more physical damage to the target. If Caesar's hit by an enemy at the beginning of the skill or she interrupts him with the strike, it will trigger a perfect block, negating incoming damage once and countering with a shield attack. Then after that, Caesar will enter her guard stance and reduces her incoming damage by 40%. Now, there is a follow-up to the special and the X special attack where you pretty much perform the same thing where you're invulnerable and you perform a perfect block. And her other perk, which is Stance Switch, when Caesar triggers a perfect block, retaliation, or defense assist, her impact is increased by 9% for 3 seconds, which means you can apply more days to the target. With the assist skill upgrades, obviously the defense assist is going to be the most important one when you use her in combat, so you can trigger the core passive a lot easier. When you're upgrading her basic attack, the normal basic attack Rampaging Slash isn't the big one. The big one is the basic attack Dead End, where if you do have assist points, you can actually hold down your basic attack to consume an assist point. You'll toss a shield out and it'll actually bring nearby enemies in and it'll deal physical damage to the target, so it's really good for crowd control. For the chain attack upgrades, the big one is her ultimate, which is Savage Smash. Obviously, you'll deal physical damage, but when hitting shielded enemies, the days dealt is increased by 45. So if you are facing some activities where the enemies do have shields, you can actually apply days faster, which means you can have your chain attack faster. And then the last skill you'd upgrade, which is her dodge. Again, her kit doesn't really revolve around it, so it's not absolutely necessary to upgrade right off the bat. Let's talk about Caesar's best equipment options when it comes to her W engine and her disc drives. For W engines, obviously her signature Tusk of Fury is going to be your best bet. Not only do you get a flat base attack bonus on top of an impact percentage bump, her Invincible Rider perk is pretty solid as well. The shield value provided by the equipper is increased by a percentage. Obviously, if you get more copies of the engine, that'll increase. When any squad member triggers interrupt or perfect dodge, all squad members' damage increases by a percentage, and days dealt increases by a percentage as well for 20 seconds. So not only the shield that Caesar's going to provide your teammates going to be even stronger, but also as long as you perform an interrupt or a perfect dodge, your other teammates get the damage and the days bonuses as well, which is kind of insane. If you don't have her engine, there are a couple of A-rank engines that you can substitute in, number 1 being the original Transmorpher. If you have the Season Pass, you can always go with the Spring Embrace as well. Or if you have Seth's engine from Jane Doe's banner like I do, have it literally maxed out here, this is a good engine option as well. For your disc drives, you're going to want 4-piece Protopunk with either 2-piece Shockstar Disco or 2-piece Swing Jazz. With your 4-piece Protopunk, you're going to get an increase to the shield effect by 15%, which is going to be really good for Caesar's core passive, giving that shield to your other teammates. But also, when any squad member triggers a defense assist or evasive assist, all squad members deal 15% increased damage lasting 10 seconds. That's basically a free damage percentage bump. Now, the reason you'd want 2-piece Shockstar Disco is because it gives an impact percentage bonus, and obviously that is Caesar's main stat and is tied to her core passive. But like I said, if you didn't want to do that, you can always do 2-piece Swing Jazz, giving the energy regen bump. For your disc main stat, at number 4, crit rate's going to be your best bet. At number 5, physical damage, and for number 6, impact. And then for your disc substats, anything with crit rate, crit damage, or attack percentage will work. If you decide you want multiple copies of Caesar, her Mindscape Cinema is pretty good. Number 1, Spearhead Advance. When Caesar enters combat or switches in, she instantly buffs the entire team with a Radiant Aegis shield. This effect can trigger once every 300 seconds. While Radiant Aegis is active, enemies within a 5-meter radius of the shield bearer suffer a 50% all attribute resistance reduction. So basically, you can trigger the Radiant Aegis right off the rip and pretty much keep it up indefinitely right when you're in combat, and you essentially debuff anyone else around you, which is sick. Number 2, Legacy of the Far Lands. While Radiant Aegis from core passive Barrier of Resilience is active, Caesar's energy regeneration rate increased by 10%, and the shield bearer's attack boost is increased to 150% of its original value, so this means you can actually end up using her X special attack more often. Number 3, Absolute Trust is just going to give a level bonus to all of her skills. Number 4, Ares the Battering Ram. When Caesar uses a chain attack or ultimate, she gains 3 additional assist points. If her energy is below 20, she can activate X Special Attack Overpowered Shield Bash with 1 assist point instead. This substitution could trigger once every 5 seconds. So if you don't have the energy for your X Special Attack, right after you use a chain attack or the ultimate, you can basically proc it just by using an assist point instead. And number 5, Romantic Conquest. Again, this is going to give a level bonus to all of her skills. And then lastly, number 6, Overlord's Will. Her X Special Attack, Overpowered Shield Bash, and Assist Follow-Up are guaranteed to trigger a crit hit. The skill's damage is increased by 50% and deals additional 50% damage to the primary target. When Caesar uses her X Special Attack, Overpowered Shield Bash, or the Assist Follow-Up, her crit rate is increased by 30% and her crit damage is increased by 60%. So essentially, that X Special Attack and Assist Follow-Up are guaranteed to crit hit, so that's why you do want to focus on some crit damage. And considering you're going to be using the X Special Attack to have the shield up anyway, you might as well get some damage in as well. For Caesar's best team options, if you're a free-to-play player, having Nicole and Billy with the Paper Boot is a good option. Not only can Caesar activate Billy's additional ability, since Nicole can use a defense assist, she will actually activate Caesar's additional ability. You can use Caesar to stun enemies, provide shields, while Billy takes advantage of the attack buff from her shield. If you want a Caesar Anomaly team, you can pair her with Lucy and Piper with the Bang Volver or the new Bang Boo Red Mocus. Or you could switch out Piper for somebody like Jane Doe. Basically, both of them can still take advantage of the buffs from Caesar and Lucy as well. And for other team comps, you could just use her on a Generalist team. For example, you could pair up Caesar with Sukaku and Ellen with the Shark Boost, and now you have an Ice team. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, one of her strengths is that she can pretty much work on any team comp. It's funny because they classify her as a defense character, you know, giving the shield to your other teammates, but she can also work as your stunner character as well, which means you don't have to have, you know, Ambi, Lycon, Coletta, or even Ching-Yi on your team for it to be effective. Now, going over Caesar's combat guide, I think it's pretty straightforward. Similar to a defense assist, Caesar's special attack can actually perform a perfect block and counter the enemy and trigger an interrupt. This will block the incoming damage, and if you press the special skill again right afterwards, you can perform another attack without consuming any energy. And obviously, that's going to lead into her core passive, so if you use the X special attack, a chain attack, an ultimate, or even a defense assist, for example, it'll grant all squad members that Radiant Aegis. And again, that's going to give the shield holder increased attack and anti-interrupt level. Now note, Caesar's shield performs differently than a character like Seth, for example. Seth applies the shield to the HP bar, where Caesar's actually just stays on the side of your character, and whenever you get hit, it obviously starts ticking down. At this point, you can switch to your Assault or Anomaly character to deal damage so they can take advantage of the buffs from the shield. But Caesar's kit isn't finished yet. If you wanted to have some crowd control, you can switch back to Caesar, hold down your basic attack to launch that basic attack dead end, which will consume an assist point, but it launches the shields out and brings a bunch of enemies in. Not only that, like I said, if you wanted to stun enemies faster, you still can use Caesar's X special attack, the perfect block, the follow-up. You can stun enemies pretty easily just with that as well. So if you have the energy, I would recommend just using the skill, and once it's gone, switch to a different character. You know, If the shield's starting to run out, perform a defense assist with Caesar to get it right back. Use her ultimate, use a chain attack, do whatever you gotta do. The main thing is keeping up that Radiant Aegis shield as much as you can to gain the bonuses. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is my Caesar King build guide. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and if you're pulling for Caesar King. I know for myself, I'm passing on her banner. I really want to pull for Bernice to have that fire anomaly comp, or maybe I'll save. We have Yanagi and Lighter coming in 1.3. I already have my Jane Doe set team with her and Seth giving the anomaly bump with his shield as well, so I'm like, you know what, we gotta hold off. But if you are pulling for Caesar, I wish you luck. She is absolutely broken. In any event, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for more Zenless Zone Zero content. And if you'd like to follow me on Hoyo Lab, I massively appreciate it. The link to that will be in the description of the video. We also live stream on here and on Twitch as well. The link to that will also be in the description. And if you'd like to join my Discord, the link for that will be in the description as well. Obviously, we have people talking about Zenless Zone Zero and a variety of other games, but we also talk about anime, tech, and more. Lastly, if you'd like to support the channel even more, you can look into becoming a member. If you don't know what a membership is, it's essentially like a Twitch subscription, but it's cheaper than a Twitch subscription, hilariously enough. In any event, you'll end up getting the exclusive emotes, the monthly badges, and other cool bonuses here on the channel, such as getting access to all of my content early. So if you'd like more information, press the join button, next subscribe, and then I'll give you a rundown with all the details you need. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been your boy. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!